Hello and welcome to Nurse Table Talk. I'm Nurse Julie. In part one, Kristin shared what drove her to leave the hectic lifestyle of the United States and start a new lifestyle in the country of Costa Rica. In part two, Kristin provided more details and contrasted the lifestyles of the 60 countries that she lived or worked in as compared to the United States. She identified some of the major cultural differences that are on topics such as food, exercise, the pace of life. And finally, she talked about labor laws and how it may impact our workday as compared to other countries. So let's get started. And you might even have a glass of wine. I'm not encouraging wine on this video, okay? But you were able to enjoy and taste the foods that you were eating. And as a dietitian, that hit home with me too.
Yeah. I just had a guest on my podcast that actually are listeners of my podcast, and they are subscribers on my YouTube channel, and they are living in Bulgaria right now. And we were talking about how many fruit trees there are there that are just naturally growing on the sides of the road, and how they step on cherries when they walk down the sidewalk. I mean, how many places in the US do you have apples and peaches and plums and raspberries and things growing on the side of the road? Not many places, at least I've never seen it. And so that's the kind of access to fresh local foods that you have. And at the market, it's cherry season or it's blueberries or strawberries, and you just eat more locally and things come from closer. There's more organic options available, and also the cost of the food is lower. So my grocery bill has tripled since I've moved back to the United States. And I think one of the big barriers for people in the US, even if you want to live a healthy lifestyle, you want to be healthy, the environment is not set up to encourage that. You have to really go out of your way to uncover the information of what does it mean to be healthy, which is not following the US food pyramid or the US food guidelines. I don't believe that those are in the best interest of our health and well-being. And then you go to the grocery store, and almost everything in the middle of the grocery store is bad for you because it's full of sugar and it's processed foods and it's refined flours and corn and grains, GMO corn. And then the produce is all laced with pesticides. And so you really have to have a bigger food budget, and you have to really spend years educating yourself on what to eat, what to not eat, and then, go out of your way to get your 10,000 steps per day or whatever it is that you want to do to be healthy for you. And so I found it much easier in other countries to make better food choices, and to just naturally get more walking around the cities in Europe, or going for a hike up the mountain every day in Bulgaria and walk on the beach. You have a fresh juice made with pineapple and banana, fresh orange juice versus packaged juice where you're retaining more of the nutrients. And I think all of those little things add up to just in general having a better, healthier balance in your life. And I found that since coming back to the US, I have to make a much more conscious intentions and decisions around working out. Luckily, there's a lot of gyms. There's a lot of opportunities to work out in the US. That's one of the benefits of being here. But yeah, when it comes to food, cooking more, making healthier choices versus ordering Uber Eats or delivery, or going to all of the chain restaurants that are surrounding, Taco Bell, McDonald's. There's like chain restaurants on every corner, and it can be really tempting to just go through the Chick-fil-A drive-through versus cooking. And in a lot of places I lived, those restaurants didn't even exist. So,
and that's the big difference. Is there's a lot of consumerism here, like you had mentioned. The way that the U.S. is spread out, and people have to commute in their cars, like you mentioned, and spend time in their cars. And so that takes away from your commute to work or back home and traffic. And that alone can add to your stress or anxiety or whatever. But then that takes away from something. You have to make other choices. Do I have time to get to the gym before I go to work, and then at home, on your way home, you might have to pick up the kids at daycare and then get them dinner, whatever somebody's lifestyle is, right? So it all cuts into the time that a person has. But where you were talking about the other countries, they're set up more, like you said, there's more walking involved in the European countries or where you've been.
Factor that people don't talk about is the labor rights issue. There's a massive difference in the workday, the standard workday in other countries versus the US. And let's be honest, a lot of people in the US don't get the breaks that they're supposed to get on paper. They don't have time to take breaks. A lot of people, especially nurses, don't even get an official lunch break.
Right.
And they just work through those breaks, or they're eating lunch standing up on the run at their desk. And
Right.
that would be unheard of in a lot of countries. Their labor laws are so much tighter that they get a lunch break. And it's like everyone gets a lunch break. You're not required to work. And you can sue your employer if they don't give you your lunch break. Whereas here, you could just like lose your job then if you tried to sue your employer. And so, yeah, I mean, that's also very important as well, that people in other countries get more time off and they get longer holidays, which adds up.
Right.
When you get 6 weeks of vacation a year versus 1 or 2 weeks of vacation. And a lot of people in the US also aren't getting a livable wage, or they're working for a minimum wage. And so they have 2 jobs, and now they're more stressed and more burnt out and less likely to eat healthier. All of these factors compound and end up in the situation that we have in our healthcare system today.
Right.
And unfortunately, a lot of other countries are adopting an American mentality, and they're having more chain restaurants in other countries as well that come from the US. And so that is going to impact them negatively as well. The more the US exports our culture and our way of life, they're going to start having, or they already are having, some of the same ramifications and results that we are experiencing in the US. And it wasn't always like this in the US. It's only been in recent decades with modern day life and more technology and the food system changing and everything becoming like more convenience oriented.
Right. And Kristin, I'm hoping the US adopts some of the European lifestyles, or that we as workers in the US address it and address it with the employers. And employers want to retain good talent and help. And so I don't know, it just makes sense. But when I saw your videos, circling back, when I saw your videos on your comparisons, I just think Kristin's video please watch. It is just very educational. And maybe there's things we can do in our life, our lifestyles, to help make these changes here so that people can take time.
Well, another thing that people should be aware of that no one really talks about at all is the cultural implications and the impact that has on your health. So what do I mean by that? The US, every country has its own culture that can be more driven, more ambitious, more goal-oriented, more individualistic. In the US, we pride ourselves on being very independent, on not needing help from anyone, not needing help from the government or other people. And that is ingrained in us as a society, but not all societies are that way. And so there's pros and cons to the culture that every country has, but just being aware that a lot of your lifestyle is also imprinted by the culture of the society is the first step. This is like an awareness that many of your daily habits can actually be pushed upon you by the culture that you live in. And so you're also finding a lot of more people who are nearing retirement age who are opting to move to different countries so that they can have a better quality of life and they can have more affordable health care, and they can, live these extra decades of their life in a place where they can focus on their health and well-being.
Well, Kristin, thank you for sharing your observations today. Thanks for being a guest on Nurse Table Talk. And to all our viewers out there, Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, we'll see you.
Stay healthy.
That's right. Bye now.
Bye.
Like the content you just watched? Hit the like button or hit subscribe here. If you want to be notified of any future videos, please ring that bell. If there's any topic you'd like to see discussed, leave us a comment in the comment section. Nurse Table Talk. Save time, save money, be informed. Thanks for watching.